All right, I'm going to go over the assignments that are for this course. And the assignments are also posted on bhacker.com. If you go into course materials, you see I have 6 assignments set up. So the first assignment, I'm just going to save the first 3 here. So I downloaded the first 3. You probably want to get through, if you get through the first 3, you're in good shape. You know, in fact, you could probably go through all of them if you wanted to. They're not that hard. So let's see, assignment number 1. Is all on Objective-C source code. So let's see. Let's try to make this bigger. I thought it was in preview. It is in preview. Let's make the screen bigger. There we go. It does go bigger. Okay, good. So what are you going to do? There's multiple parts, and you're supposed to do all parts. So you can do this on a command line prompt. You can do this in a GUI. You can do this any way you want. This one, however, is probably going to be more useful doing it from a command line. But you can use an Xcode project for it. If you don't have Xcode, you don't have a Mac, don't worry about it. You can use the GCC compiler and compile it that way. What are you going to do? You're going to write a little program that uses conditional logic. This is to refresh your programming skills and to see it's all about programming skill. It has nothing to do with designing a program or anything. You're going to use, I forgot I have this thing here. You're going to use conditional logic within your application to make decisions about the application lifetime. So Objective-C is quite typical in syntax and structure. We have this concept where you're going to be attempting to determine if 2 NS objects are equal, or are they the same, or are they not the same. So we have a comparison of 2 objects. I'm actually going to show you this in a later tutorial where we can compare an object and see what it is. So you're going to be working with objects. The main syntax elements that you have are the if statement, the switch statement, and the question mark, known as the ternary operator in the C programming language. It's the same as C, actually, but if you're not familiar with it in C, you're probably not going to be familiar with it in Objective-C either. So you're going to create a new Xcode project using the Mac OS X command line tool. That's what we did earlier when we created person. If you don't have Xcode, you don't have to use Xcode. You can do this with a text file and compile it with GCC. So you're going to use at least one case of each of the following. I want you to write a program of your own theme, your own design. There's no template for this. You can make it really simple like a Hello World program. It doesn't have to be like a real program. You're going to demonstrate that you know how to use the if statement using an equals operator. If x is equal to 5, if this string is equal to something else, don't read into it, it's really easy. Then you're going to use an if statement using the is equal to method. So you're going to run this method that's part of the object class. And you're going to go, well, how do I run that method? Well, you probably are going to want to download one of those books that I showed you in the beginning, the free PDF files, because you can use it as a resource, or you can use the internet as a resource. You'll find more suitable information in the books. You know, every idiot in the world posts every idiotic question they can possibly come up with on the internet. And some of the answers are good answers, and some of them are really bad answers. If you use the internet for your research, you're really taking a long way about this. If you get a nice book and the author knows what he's talking about, then you can actually learn the right way of doing everything, except for, you know, without having to cipher through all the idiot questions and the idiot answers that are out there. It's amazing how many times I read an answer to something and go, oh my God, I got the blind leading the blind, which is what you're looking at. So get one of the books. It's a little bit better. Go through the index and see what is this is equal to object, equal to method. It's going to get you to write methods. It's going to get you to run methods and do comparisons. And then you're going to have compound logic using the and the or. So you're going to do a little Boolean logic. So if this is equal to this and that is equal to that, then do this. So it's just real simple stuff. Perform a logical test to see if something is not true. Very basic, don't read into it. That's part 1. You can combine part 1 with part 2. Part 2 is going to be about methods and parameters. As I choke on my water. It totally went down the wrong pipe. Hold on one second. Wow, okay. Part 2 is on methods and parameters. I choke on water, that's lethal water. It is just water, by the way. So methods are functions that are defined. So we know what a method is. It's a function. This one's going to have you write a class. So it's going to have some methods. And you're going to define a class in order so that you can have to perform some tasks with some methods. And often these tasks involve invars and properties of objects. So invars, we're going to have input and output, setters and getters, variables that we're going to use, parameters that we're going to use what the method calls is what we're referring to here. And the extra information can be passed to the methods through parameters, as we see. So you're going to create a new Xcode project, and again, use a text file and GCC if that works for you. And you're going to create a command line tool, command line template, and you're going to use the same project maybe as you did for the first assignment, maybe not. You're going to create a custom class that contains at least 3 public methods, and the methods are going to be from the main method in main.m. You're going to create instances of the class and demonstrate calling the methods. So what I want you to do is sort of like what we did with person and employee. And well, there's one in the lecture notes called student. We had symbol car, a couple of those. Make a class in one of your projects. You can combine this together into one. Basically, this assignment is everything we did today. So you're going to make an Xcode project. You're going to make a person or a simple car or something, and you're going to make an instance of that. You're going to call the methods. I want you to call the methods that are going to use parameters, so you can pass information into the class, get information out of the class, exercise the class. You can do some setters and getters in there. You can use property and synthesize. If you're familiar with iOS, and you want to use iOS and you have access to a MacBook, I highly recommend just making an iOS application out of this. You don't have to use a command line prompt. As you just saw, we just did an iOS application that was kind of the same level of functionality as the command prompt, but instead of using NSLog, we just took and wrote stuff. Got stuff from the GUI components and wrote stuff to the GUI components. You can do that if you want as well. That's perfectly fine. That is assignment number 1. It's a way of getting your feet wet and getting familiar with syntax. In assignment number 2, assignment number 2 is all about object orientation. And we have to actually get a little further, which means we have to look at multiple objects. But you could possibly do assignment number 2 after today as well, or it's definitely after this weekend. So in assignment number 2, it's broken out into 3 parts. You can put all 3 parts into one program, or you can write 3 different programs. It's your choice. So part 1 is the date class. So you're going to have a main driver class. It is kind of loud in here, even with the microphone. Yoo-hoo! Even with the microphone is loud in here. All right. So we have a main driver class, and we're going to make instances of these other objects. So it's just like the second part of the first assignment, but you're making more objects, and I'm requesting you to do certain things in those objects. What are those certain things? Well, you're going to create a date class. The date class is going to be designed so that it can store 3 integers for day, month, and year. And there should be member functions to print out the date in the following formats. So it's really an exercise in creating more methods and storing data. So you'll have to decide how you're going to store your integers for your month, day, and year, and then you're going to print out the month, day, and year. And you're going to perform the following input validation. So you're going to check what the user's typing in, which means you're going to ask for input. Haven't gotten there yet. We haven't done that yet. So we're going to do that probably, well, I'm looking at the time actually. Probably won't end up doing that till tomorrow. But, because I don't know when she's going to do attendance, but it's not happening yet. Anyway, we'll look at I/O tomorrow. It's really simple. We saw NS log, which is output. We saw printf. We can actually run a scanf if we wanted to. We can run input. We actually saw input with a text field, and we got the text from a text field. If you want to use that technique, you can use that technique. You can do this as an iOS app or a OS app, or you can do it as a DOS prompt, command prompt application. All right, so you're going to perform the following input validation. Do not accept values for the day greater than 31. We only have 31 days in a month. Or less than 1. You can't have negative days, or negative months, excuse me. Or is this, oh no, negative days. Do not accept values for the month greater than 12, because there's only 12 months in a year. So we're not going to have like, 13th, Use your own logic. Do whatever you want with the date class. The next one is the payroll object. The payroll class you can do along with the date class if you want. All in the same project. You're going to design a payroll class that has data members for each one of the employees' hourly pay. So we got the pay rate, the number of hours worked, the total pay for the week, well, calculations we can do. So we're going to write a program with an array of 7 payroll objects. So you're going to write an array of objects. That's the tricky part. Not really a tricky part. You can write one main driver program that does your array of payrolls, that does your date, that does everything. So that the program should ask the user for the number of hours each employee has worked, and then display the amount of gross pay for each one, how much they've earned. You're going to perform some input validation. Do not accept values greater than 60 for the number of hours worked. So I guess we've got some labor laws. We're not going to have them work more than 60 hours a week. Now, when it says, ask the user, you don't have to make this tedious. Actually, it'd be really cool. You can actually write a form, fill in the form on an iOS app, actually, and calculate the number of hours. And that's actually going to be our next project. So the next project that we're going to do, so much loud noise in here, is that we're going to combine the person and then the employee along with an iOS app so you can sort of see how the objects work behind the scenes. So far we looked at the GUI part, we read and wrote to GUI objects. Well, we can do the same thing we were doing this morning inside of that iOS app. We can create a person and an employee. We didn't get to inheritance yet. We can do that tomorrow. Create all these objects, make instances of the objects, and use the objects inside of the code behind the scenes, behind that GUI, and then have the GUI manipulate because of the things we're doing with these objects. And then have multiple controllers with multiple views. And then we're really programming. iOS, we're really making some sophisticated apps after that. So, all right, so that's the payroll. Part 3 is the day of the year class. So assuming that we have 365 days, we're going to write a class named Day of the Year that takes the integer representing the day of the year and translates it into a string consisting of the month followed by the day of the month. So if I said that the day 2, that's going to be January 2nd. If I say day 32, that's February 1st. Well, it depends if we have leap year, but no, I guess that's after February for leap year. But long story short, not graded on your math skills or your ability to figure out the day of the week. But you're kind of trying to do some sort of translation. This requires you to work with a little number manipulation. So you'll be working with the math functions to divide, to multiply, to figure out formula-wise how you're going to calculate the day of the year from a date, from a day. So not heavy math. You can Google it actually and figure out how to do it. It's not too hard at all. So, did someone ask a question back there, or are you just being loud? Bing. So I'm sorry. Bing. Bing. Oh, I said Google, didn't I? You said Bing. Are you guys Bing fans? I didn't know anyone used Bing. People are still using Bing? You use Bing? Wow. All right. Well, you can Bing the answer to this question. If you want to Bing it, Bing it. Bing it all you want. I'm going to Google it, you Bing it. We'll see what happens. Actually, I don't Yahoo anymore. I used to Yahoo. I don't know. Anyone Yahoo still? No. You just Bing. You Yahoo and you Bing? I Google. Google it. It's kind of like Q-tip turned into Google. Google is just like Q-tips. Hashtag. What does hashtag mean anyway? Hashtag. I don't know. Is that like Bing? I don't know. I never got that. I'm not hip enough, huh? Twitter? Yeah. Hashtag Bing. Anyway. Let's get back to this so we can finish up. So the initializer of the class should take on the parameter. Okay, so this one's taking an initializer. So in part 3 of the day of the year, you have to put an initializer in here. It says the initializer for the class should take as parameters an integer representing the day of the year, and then the class should have a member function called print that prints out the day in the month-day format. So the thing with part number 3 is the programming of the initializer. So test your class by inputting various different integers and then printing out various different amounts. Demonstrate the functionality of all these classes in one or more driver programs. Note, you can use the same driver program for all 3 parts. You don't have to make separate programs out of this. But what I want you to do is pay attention to what's being asked for, because each one of them is there for a different reason. It's so that you can mix and match. Like a couple of them, depending upon how you get the input in, you might have to take an integer and convert it to a string, or a string and convert it to an integer, or some other manipulation. Are you doing attendance? No? Oh, why not? Excuse me? We want it now. You can't give me the memory card because I can't finish this class because I can't stop recording until they do the attendance. It's like the chicken before the egg. I'm not going to give you the recording until I'm done. I can't finish until the attendance. I'm getting mad. I'm going to start banging. I learned a new adjective today. Bang. Any questions about assignment number 2? How many people are going to do these assignments tonight? No, you're not going to do assignment tonight. You're probably not going to do them until December. When are they due? 16th. You're probably going to start on December 15th at around noon. I don't know. Lucky number 3. Assignment number 3. Assignment number 3 might look familiar. Hello, I'm still here and I'm still talking. And so is everybody else. I'm sorry? Oh, I thought you were talking to me. I know everyone's talking to everybody else. I thought maybe you were going to talk to me too. You do realize that the people that listen to this stuff on YouTube, they get a really bad impression of ITU. They're like, man, the students are really rude. Oh my God. They just keep talking to everybody. If you read some of the comments, actually, you'd be kind of surprised, actually. Sort of embarrassing. Then I try to edit that out. Unfortunately, I'm going to label this lecture just for ITU students, so regular people don't look at it. All right, so assignment number 3, if you're interested. It's an employee, a production worker, a shift supervisor, and a team leader. We have not covered this material yet. It's all about inheritance. So this kind of gives you a preview of what we're going to cover tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to finish the employee from the person. So save that work you did earlier. We're going to take that project, implement the employee that's inherited from person, override, overload, add some functionality to it, and then inherit somebody else from that. So we'll do what's involved here. And we'll send information back and forth between super and sub, and we'll totally focus on inheritance. So we haven't hit that yet. That's topic for tomorrow. So the assignment that goes along with that is this one. I believe I'm going to wait until tomorrow to go over it because it's not going to make any sense to you. So we will revisit this one tomorrow. And I hear some hallway noise, so I'm hoping that's going to be the attendance people. Otherwise, let's take a small little break because people are on break right now. So let's just go on break for 10 minutes, and unless that attendance person's in the hallway. No?